30-year-olds of Reddit, what's something you regret about your 20s? Doubting myself so much. Confidence really does come with age, and in my 20s, I questioned everything I said, did and didn't do. I'm starting to come through the other side of that and trusting myself more. I'm being kinder to myself and realize that, while I'm panicking about what everyone else is thinking of me, they're doing exactly the same about themselves. It's a cliche, but life is far too short to spend it worrying about the small stuff, and a lot of the big stuff too. Edit. Thank you for the silver. Editing the edit. Holy Bejeweled Reddit thread Batman, Golds and Platinum, you guys are amazing. Thank you. This is almost exactly what I came here to say, but with a caveat. I try not to regret too much about my 20s, because the mistakes I made then are responsible for me being who I am today, and given that I largely like who I am, I wouldn't want to change much. But I did realize recently that most of the grown-up stuff I'm good at now, which intimidated the hell out of me when I was younger, isn't actually difficult. I wasn't bad at it in my 20s, I just avoided it because I didn't need to confront it, or because someone else would do it for me. I only really grew up because I had to, and once I did I realized I was making a mountain out of a molehill. The molehill analogy is spot on. I can recognize when small things like that essentially paralyze me, but I'm still not the greatest at forcing myself to confront whatever it is. Despite knowing I tend to always feel better after. It just becomes a huge anxiety buildup until the point where I'm forced to at least try. Give a tiny effort, fail, quit trying, anxiety, rinse repeat. Focusing too much on my career and not enough on friends and relationships. I have a great career and the financial stability to go places and do things, but no one to do them with because I was a workaholic and ignored my social life. Damn. This is me right now. 14-hour work days and no time for friends. I don't see anyone anymore outside of work. I'm 24. As a former corporate stooge who is now 37, it's not worth it. I also knew a lot of people who died young. Definitely not worth it. I have friends, but I also have a propensity to be a hermit. I just really like my alone time. Back in August I decided to start a fortnightly dinner party, super casual, and invite anyone I thought would enjoy it, and leave it open for them to invite friends. It's now up to like 10 people on average, sometimes more, and it's like a beloved affair. Half of the people who come are people I barely knew back in August, or didn't know at all. Those people have befriended each other and go and do things together now, too. During the weeks between, we have a fun group thread, and people set up other activities from that. Now we are talking about doing a pub trivia night once a month on an off week, and a tabletop gaming night on another. It's not too late to make a little change and see where it takes you. Given possible allocation of 100 points. 70 all the time I wasted drinking, and just fucking off. 20 not contributing anything to 401k. 10 not exercising. Ding. 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 We have a winner. You've successfully narrowed down most people's wasted youths. Really? I wasted my youth being a stuck-up bitch who only worked and never partied. Now my depression is so bad, and I have no good memories or friendships, just money. The grass is always greener. Edit. I was hyperbolizing stuck-up bitch, but it's fine. I just didn't go outside and look down on people who smoked weed and partied. I'll trade you my friends for your money. I listened to and coddled my mother too much. Finally packed all my things and left, effectively moving 3,000 miles away. And you know what? After 2 months of paying my own bills and doing my own budget, I thought, wow. My parents really were holding me back because this is not nearly as bad or nightmarish as everyone claims. My mother would say how I'd come crawling back on my knees, begging her to let me move back in. How I'd never be able to make it and should just focus on finding a man to marry. Well, she was wrong. I'm happily single, a homeowner, make over 40k, in school to make more, and didn't even have to marry anyone or beg her to let me move back in. So, yes, I regret listening to my parents. Growing up, you always hear how people regret not listening to their parents. Well, I listened and regret that. Edit. Thank you for the silver award and all the wonderful comments. I'm stunned. Edit 2. And even more lovely comments. I did not have many options back then. So I focused in the only thing I could achieve at that time, which was obtaining and maintaining a job. Because of my situation, my mental health was shit, and immersing in my routine of going to work, to the gym and then home was keeping me sane. I could not make or maintain any friendships, therefore I did not party. So I don't have any fun or wild stories. Since I relied on people to do shit, I denied myself the opportunity to travel. So I don't have any interesting travel stories. I lost the motivation to further my education. I don't even have an associate's degree. Sometimes I get the desire to go back to school, but now I feel too dumb to go back. Now I am too cynical, too dull and too boring. I have nothing interesting to add to any conversation, zero academic knowledge and relevant experiences, and I have nothing to look forward to. TLDR. I regret not having traveled, not finished college, expanding my knowledge, not getting better at any hobbies, being in a relationship that did not add anything substantial to my life, neglecting my mental health, procrastinating, expecting things to just happen without real effort on my part. My advice: what I did or are currently doing. Don't rely on people to learn new experiences. Please don't feel self-conscious about going alone. Nobody cares as much as you think. Please don't neglect your education. If you don't go to college, try reading or watch documentaries. Focus on exercising and eating healthy. If you have a hobby and no friends to share it, try meetups or something similar. If you suffer from mental illness, please find a way to address that as soon as possible. Do not find unhealthy coping mechanisms. You don't have to travel to fancy schmancy obscure places. If you can't, good for you. Like Anthony Bourdain said, just go across the bridge in your town. Explore your city or state. If possible, take a day off from work to do anything. Or nothing at all. Don't rely on social media and compare yourself to others based on their own curated versions. Cut off or distance yourself from people who don't add value to your life. Please make yourself a priority. Thanks if you read my wall of text. Edit. Sometimes it helps making a list of the positive things gained by doing X instead of Y. Thank you all who read my post and took the time to reply. I appreciate all the comments. I wish you all good luck. I wasted an entire year of my life living in my parents' basement, working a shitty job, being an alcoholic, and pretty much not talking to anyone socially. One day I woke up, packed up my car and moved halfway across the country to crash with a friend in a new city. Pretty much saved my life. I love these pack my shit and go type stories. Or at least the ones that work out, lol. Glad to hear you're doing better. If I may ask, what are you up to nowadays? It's hard to believe all that was almost 15 years ago. Since then I lived in Austin with my friend for a year, moved to New York, went to law school, got a job in Baltimore not practicing law, but legal adjacent. I'm working my way up the ladder, and just bought my first house last year. How do you like the legal adjacent job? I'm practicing and love it, but hope eventually I could change into a position that uses my degree but is less combative. Well, my position is way more combative than I would like, but it's worked out fine. I graduated in 2010, which was a complete bloodbath in terms of law grads finding jobs. I had intended to go into prosecution, and that year the city cut its hiring of new ADAs by 90%. It all worked out in the end, but I'd be lying if there weren't many years of shittiness after being unable to find a job in my field. My grandfather was a craftsman. His main income was making and restoring furniture. Some of his pieces were incredible. In his house he had a beautiful, intricate clock. It had the phases of the moon that he had built. It was amazing. I always looked at it whenever we visited. When he died he gave everything to my cousin. She is a scumbag money pit, so she needed it the most. She promptly threw out all of his belongings and leveled my grandfather's house that he built so she could sell it. I wish I had been more on the ball and had asked for that clock. I would have paid for it if my cousin made me. One silver lining is that my dad says that the clock was probably full of lead and mercury, so a lead and mercury lining that looks silver in the right lighting. Edit. First award. It looks silver in any light. That sucks, dude. Nearly 30. I wish I socialized more ever since I was a teen. It's hard to make friends once work commitments start piling up. I socialized a lot in my 20s, and friends still drift away. It happens no matter what. Not staying in shape, it's hard, but you can bounce back, but taking 10 years or so off looking after your health is a bad idea. As someone who thought I just had perfect genetics and I'd always be slim, let me be the first to agree that the fitness struggle is real when you hit the 30s. Not starting to invest more in my 401k sooner. I also would not have started that reef tank. I did not get as much enjoyment from it as it cost. As someone in their early 20s who just got their first 401k 3 months ago and has been contemplating converting their freshwater tank to a reef tank, this is oddly specific, and thank you. Recently just turned 30. I think the regret would be settling, not understanding big parts of my life could be better. It took a bit of a kick of my own arse to realize I could be a lot happier if I just control of my own life a bit, rather than just going through the motions. I think I might be doing this. Would you mind elaborating a little? I could use the perspective. Sure. So during my early 20s I had a job and a girlfriend. And far as I was concerned that was sort of it. Boxes ticked. That's life sorted. After a while though, I started considering whether I was actually happy or whether I was just going through the motions. After some reflection, I realized that in reality I wasn't actually enjoying life. I wouldn't say it was depression, but I didn't really enjoy going to work or spending time with my partner. That to me was a huge realization. It was scary to take that leap, but I made some big changes. I ended a relationship I should have done way sooner. I moved back into my parents' house for about 2 to 3 months whilst I started applying for new jobs. I started running and working out, as it was a good way for me to clear my head. Before I knew it, within a year I'd found someone I actually enjoyed being with. We actually are now engaged and due to be married next year. I got a job that I still get so much out of. I feel fulfilled at the end of the day, but I also love the people I work with. I took up hobbies I previously wouldn't even consider. I got a fucking dog who honestly, bar my girlfriend, is my world. I don't think there's a right answer to this. I don't think doing exactly what I did is the instant answer for happiness. But I think everyone needs to ask themselves if they truly feel happy, and if not, why not? Look to make those changes where you feel happy in your life, rather than just ambling by day to day. You honestly owe it to yourself. And apologies for the essay. Spending too much time and energy on a relationship I knew was doomed to fail, and then spending too much time and energy on mourning the failure of said relationship. Edit. Wow, 3 golds. My first gold. I had no idea it would blow up like that, but it's kinda good to know that I'm not the only one to have that regret. To answer your questions. The relationship was fun and exciting, but international long-distance relationships rarely last, which I was too stubborn and in love to realize. Finally the problems caught up with my denial, and the relationship went shit side up, and we haven't talked since. There is in my opinion no way to not mourn the death of a meaningful relationship, and no quick fix to how much a breakup hurts. But my advice is to try to keep living and don't wallow in it. Time flies when you are feeling sorry for yourself. Also think twice before you get involved in a long-distance relationship. Smoking as much weed as I was. And smoking cigarettes for so long. I smoked weed for 7 years non-stop. I'm so happy I quit when I did, no regrets about quitting, wish I did earlier. Trying to maintain a relationship with my shitty parents and not realizing how toxic they were to my life. Being shitty to my friends. Borderline alcoholism. Drug abuse. Smoking. Not using my athleticism. Not finishing college. Not learning how to handle finances. So most of it. I feel you on the parents thing. My father was worthless and I pined for his attention, and I realized just how unstable emotionally my mother is. Never realized how much her anxiety and temper affected my own behavior, and why it was bad. I guess I was blinded to that fact because her redeeming quality is she's loyal.